Hey, welcome to another Valley Forged, where I'm talking once again about the Atezr 36 watt L2 laser cutter engraver extraordinaire. Have I mentioned I love this freaking laser? I absolutely am just blown away. I'm having such a good time playing with it. I just wish there was more hours in the day for me to play around and also get my work done, which it is also doing. I don't, as I said in the last video and many videos, I don't just like play at lasers on the internet. I actually use them every day and I make all sorts of crazy stuff. And now that I have this laser, I'm going to make way more crazy stuff. But I do kind of come back and make some basic things for you all to see how how it works. You know, as much as it's doing my production work, I want to know how can I push it? You know, where can I make it better? But at the same time, I got to do my daily. And do you hear that right now? No, I don't hear it either. That is the laser on. And that is such an amazing difference, is that the laser literally makes no noise until you turn it on. Now, anybody out there who uses lasers will tell you, you know, the air assist pump or the laser fan is always going and is driving you absolutely up the wall. And that is such a huge difference with this laser. I think it makes it worth whatever extra you would pay. But it is $1,250 right now on the site. Now, it's not an affiliate link or anything. I have it below. I'm a huge fan. I'm going to get into later the some differences between the 35 watt Atezr V35 Plus and this new one, and what's the differences. Because right now on the site, there's $100 difference between the two lasers. So is it worth it? Well, I don't know that it's silent. Does it turn the air pump off and on? That's worth the $100 to me right there. And then, yeah, we'll get into this later. So I just started out with the standard, what I think is the standard make or break shop test, even though, you know, it's kind of ludicrous when it comes to a 36 watt laser. But I actually wanted just to show how ludicrous that was. I took away the lower settings because I did not want to run it at 100 power at 100% speed on 3mm birch plywood, because it would be ridiculous. So I took that away. But you could even see I ran it because I wanted to do some testing. I ran it with the autofocus and I ran it with a manual focus because I wanted to see, is there any difference? And what I came up with is, and you can see in the picture, from the front, you can't tell any difference. Not really. They look exactly the same. And I find it funny that, you know, anything above 3,000 speed at 100% power, you literally just engrave through the 3mm. That is a little too powerful, but you can see if you go to lower left, I mean, you at 9,000 at 10% power, it's very, you got a good gradient. You just don't want to overuse it. And I do need to remake this so that we can go up to, say, 30,000 millimeters per minute or even 40, because this laser actually does a pretty good job. It's the first laser I've ever seen that you can run above 30,000 millimeters per minute and actually is useful, because it needs enough power, as I said in the last one. I ran this at 50,000 millimeters per minute. Now it can go to 54, but I just ran it at 50,000 because I'm lazy. And, you know, it's still usable. And as I said before, it's not something I would sell. It's still a little light, but it is usable at 50,000 millimeters per minute. That is pretty incredible. And the fact that it'll actually do it without making the lines all squiggly, which most lasers do. So super cool. But getting back to the speed test, you know, 400 speed at 75% power was able to easily cut through this 3mm birch plywood. And the only difference I saw, on the back, that the one that I did with no autofocus, it cut out the back just a little better on the 50% at 400 speed. So it's just barely. So it's really not even worth, it's such a little difference. So I would say, I turn off the autofocus, not because it's not great. It's just that I haven't really gotten used to using it yet. And I got work to do. But I did run some tests with the autofocus today, and, I didn't have any trouble, except when I first started using it, I like to frame first, right? So I did a frame, and then I hit the autofocus because I wanted to bring it to the area where I was going to cut so that it would have a place to autofocus on, right? So after I did that, so I did the frame, I did the autofocus, and then I hit start and it flew off to the other end. I'll try and show that clip. So evidently you do need to autofocus and then home or whatever. I'll get more into that as I learn more, but you can't just take it to the spot you want to cut and then run the autofocus and hit go or something. At least not as far as I can tell yet. So that's very interesting. But the autofocus seems to be working well. I only had to do it once, and then it was good for that size of wood. And the instructions I got off of Clack Shack were fantastic, so there's no need to remake a video on that. Autofocus and Z-axis on the Atezr L2. He's got the 24 watt. The same thing. So you can go check out his video. I would recommend it anyway if you're going to buy this laser. And he's going to show you a little bit about how you do the Z-axis as well. One thing I thought about with this Z-axis that you can adjust on the fly, right? So you could do a cut and then you could have it adjust the Z-axis up or down, because when you do engraving, and a lot of people, I've listened to Louisiana Hobby Guy and other people who are really good at engraving, and they talk about defocusing. Well, that might actually come into play here if you're able to adjust, because if you don't want to defocus when you're going to cut. So if you're able to change the Z-axis when you engrave and then put it back when you cut to your proper size, that might be extremely useful. And hopefully somebody who is really good at engraving, say Rich, or one, I'm sure there's other people. In fact, that brings me up something. I want more questions. I mean, people are watching my videos. This is an incredible new machine, and I'm going to do the things that I usually do with it, but there are so many things that I'm missing that I'm not testing. What do you want to know about it? I'm probably not going to try to cut through 2x4s and do all this sort of thing, because I think it's ridiculous. It's not something you really get a laser for like this. But if I, have some 1/4 inch really hard wood and I need to use this Z-axis stepping to be able to make that work, then I'm more than happy to do that. Maybe I need to cut a 1/2 inch sometimes, but these unrealistic tests, I mean, they're fun to watch, but it's not my thing. So the next thing I did, and you probably saw on my page here, I wanted to do a line test. And the reason why is because I'm literally using this to make a gift. And when you run it, the lines, although they look like they're the same distance from each other in most ways, at least there's some space there. When you run it, it doesn't come out that way. And so I was guessing that I've got some belt issues. I need to tighten or loosen or do something, whatever. Maybe somebody who knows a lot more about that can help me out. What I found interesting is I ran this at, as you can see here on the upper right, I ran part of these circles here at 20,000 millimeters per minute at 100% speed. I ran some of it at 1,000 millimeters per minute at 10%, and some of it, most of it, at 6,000 millimeters per minute at 30% power. That's the first way that I did it. And I'll try and pop the picture up here, and you can see, try and match it up with what I did. All right. And so you can see here, you would think, now, one thing I noticed is that at 1,000 millimeters per minute and 10% power, it was too hot. So you couldn't really see the lines well, but it wasn't because it wasn't working okay. It was because it just burned too deep. So I did fix that, and I decided to run a second pass at the same exact thing. I changed a few things. I changed the settings to 2,000 millimeters per minute. In fact, I'll pop over. Now I want you to see. Over here, I have it 20,000 millimeters per minute at 100% power. On the next one, I actually changed a few of the lines because I wanted to see how they matched up. So you see, here is number 2, where I have changed some of the lines because I wanted to see, hey, if I change the speed, will it change how it acted? And you know what I found out? It doesn't. And that is so heartening, that no matter how fast I run this, even at 25,000 millimeters per minute at 100% speed, none of the lines seem to really change. Now, it is weird to me that the same lines were more spaced than they are in this drawing. You can see right here in the middle that one of the ways up and down, or diagonally, in both, even though I changed the speed, in both of them, they reacted the same way. They're not as they show here in the picture. And when I get to the next test, it's even going to befuddle me a little bit more. That's why I need some of the technical people to figure this out for me, because I don't get it. But it did extremely well. It replicated no matter how fast I did it. So the fact that you could run something at 25,000 millimeters per minute at 100% speed, and you can't really tell the difference between running it at 2,000 millimeters per minute, that means this thing is pretty dead on. So the only adjustments I'm going to have to make are not with, the actual precision of the machine, which is really nice. Because once I get this dialed in, then I will be able to up this speed, and it will actually make a difference in my production, which in the end is what I'm looking for. That's in the end why I was so excited about this machine, that before, with my 10 watt, my 20 watt, I couldn't run it above 6,000 millimeters per minute because it would start to look like crap. It would start making little jiggly lines and things like that. That's just not good enough when you're selling your stuff. So I needed something that would be consistent to go over 6,000 millimeters per minute. I had no dreams that I was going to be able to do 35,000 millimeters per minute and still get clarity. So I just got to dial this in a little bit more. And so that's why I did this next test, which is the circle test. I've seen others do this, and I thought, after doing this geometry test, which really was a bit inconclusive for me because there's something just not going on right, I figured, oh, well, if I do this circle test and I have equally spaced circles and squares with a circle coming just a little bit outside of it, that I'm going to see where it's messing up. And I'm going to see that it's not perfect. Well, I also ran this at these same 3 different speeds, 2,000, 6,000, 25,000 millimeters per minute. And lo and behold, everything looks pretty much perfect no matter which one I did. So that is freaking me out just a little bit even more, because now what do I do? I mean, is it the drawing? There's something wrong with that? Although shouldn't the end result come out exactly like I see on the screen? I don't know. I don't know what's going on, but the circles look absolutely amazing, and I see no problems with this whatsoever. So again, I'm just really, really thrilled that I could run something that fast and get it that accurate. The next thought for everybody is probably, what about engraving? What's the spot size? How well does this do? Well, I'm not doing that in this video. I'm not somebody who does a lot of engraving, but I do see the value in it, and I do sell some things that I engrave. You know, I'm talking about fine engraving, pictures, things like that. And so I'm going to make a whole video just on that. It'll be me learning with you about this machine and how well it does. As far as your typical engraving, I mean, I have pictures of that. This is the one I ran at 50,000 millimeters per minute. But when I ran it slower, I mean, it's just really nice. It looks fantastic. Definitely up to my level. I'm sure there's some adjustments I can make to make it even better. I'm not doing any cross hatching or anything like that. So I do like to run a line after engrave. I think that does help. And it seems to be pretty accurate with the line after engrave. That's been a problem that I've had with some other lasers. You run the line after engrave and that line is just a little bit different than the engrave itself. Kind of ruins it. But a true line after engrave should be right on the edges of that and look beautiful. And I think this one does a great job at that. So these are the basics of what I do to make money. And so being able to have that, and also the peace and quiet of the freaking fans, air not running. I don't have to worry, you know, is it going to pop on? You know, if you have some compressor, oh, is it going to pop on in the middle of my video? No, the peace is just, you know, and I've already said, I'm going to go through the 35 watt versus the 23 watt, just a few things right now. And I may do a full video on that if people are asking more questions about it. But I'm imagining at some point they will phase out the 35 watt anyways. But what are the current differences? I mean, say you're looking at the two machines. Why would you buy one over the other? Just because it's newer doesn't mean it's necessarily better. In fact, there's some things about the 35 watt that are better, or even the P20 versus the P24 or the L2, sorry. And what I would say is, first of all, the 35 watt is cheaper. It's only $100 cheaper right now. So I don't think that's going to be your huge game changer. I mean, the things that the 36 watt already have above it is the eye guard, which I've said is a game changer for me. I hate the old eye guard. I hate it. All the lasers that do that, I usually take them off. I notice Clack Shack does the same. I want to see where that laser beam is, and I've not been able to do it on half of the lasers that I get. That eye guard, fantastic. I'm going to leave it on, and it's just much easier to work with. The auto air, I've already said, just worth its weight in gold for me in just peace. And also the fact that I don't have to run air. But one thing I really want to test, and this is going to be a test over time because I really want to make sure before I say, is if I turn that air off, is my lens going to get dirty? I'm running it with air all the time, and it's still doing very clean on my engraves. But I want to see, after me using it for a while, with the air all the time, is my lens going to get dirty? And then I want to test, does it get dirty when I engrave without it and just do the cutting with it? Because lens getting dirty is a very important thing. And if you have a laser that the lens gets dirty easy, like say Ortura Laser Master 3, it really cuts what I think is worth in that laser, because it just adds so much time and effort. And then you're probably going to have to get more lenses because eventually it's going to get scratched, or it's, you know, that part where it's getting dirty is going to continuously get worse. Now, of course, it's not your lens that's getting dirty, it's the lens cover, but for all intents and purposes, it's something that you have to bother with all the time, and I don't want to. So far, it seems to be cutting exactly the same way as it did when I pulled it out of the box. So I don't think it's getting dirty at this point, but I will definitely take a look at it, you know, after probably one more day and see if that's getting dirty. I'm sure that's something everybody should be thinking about. And one major upgrade is the linear rail on the gantry, especially when you're talking about something so heavy and big. That's why it's able to run at 50,000 millimeters per minute and not have any shake. And that is incredible. And I think that is worth it for me. You know, I've used a lot of 150 watt lasers, 130 watt lasers, and they mostly all run on linear bearings and they just work, period. Even the side rails, they don't have wheels, which is really nice. They run on a solid piece of steel, so things aren't going to wear out and change over time like they would with any type of wheels, even the steel ones, because something can get in there. So I think that's an enormous upgrade. And these things make it like a no-brainer for me. But there are some things about the 35 that are better than the 36. And one of those things is that it is larger. And you've probably heard Clack Shack talk about that. You're getting more area for your money. And sometimes that's important if you like to do larger projects. I mean, when you get the extension is longer as well. So you're probably gaining 10 inches on the length maybe, and inch or two in the width. And that can make a big difference. And you can get the extension now. You don't have to wait. I mean, the extension is not available for the L2. Neither is the machine. I was just fortunate to get one early. But that machine will be available here in about a week, less than a week. But the actual extensions are not. I will buy one as soon as they come in because I want to do a review on it. I'm going to be buying that with my own money. I'm going to buy every accessory they come with. I'll be picking it up and I'll be doing reviews on those. So again, like and subscribe and all that stuff so that you'll be around when that comes in. Another thing, you can get it now. You can get the P2. I mean, you can get the V35 right now today, which, it may be another week or so before you can get the L2. But it is also a proven commodity. I mean, I've been running this thing for a few days and it's been fantastic. Well, is it going to be great in 6 months? I mean, we've seen 6 months, a proven product with the V35. We know it is a workhorse. It is so highly recommended and everybody just loves it. All of their Plus series, just wonderful. And so in the end, it may end up being the better laser. I don't think so. And just the fact that I don't hear any noise right now is already making me love what I got. But I did want to, play devil's advocate and say, hey, there may be some good reasons for getting the 35. And if you've already got a 35, is it worth upgrading to the 36? I don't see how. I mean, you've already spent a lot of money on the 35. I don't see why you would want to upgrade to the 36 unless you're just, got money coming out your ears, or one of those things that I talked about today is really such a game changer for you that you really want the upgrade, because frankly, some of those upgrades are pretty damn nice. So I've talked long enough. I mean, I didn't even intend to making a long video today, but just got off on some rants. But I'm enjoying this machine so much, and I would love to converse with other people who have one and be able to solve problems, and my problems, your problems, all problems. So let's pick one of these up. Again, I don't get anything for it. I just want to have a community of us working on this. And there is an L2 community out there, Atezr L2, like on Facebook and stuff. And so hopefully you can join that and we can chat about, what we like, what we don't like, and what we can improve. All right. I will see you in the next one. Love y'all.